Hey guys, it's Access Denied here. I'm starting a new series. This is going to be the first episode. It's simply going to be a vlog of me every day talking. Nothing particularly interesting, to be honest. Maybe a little bit of me coding, talking about what's on my mind. It's not going to be specific or geared toward anything, just the public getting to know me. So, starting out today, we're just looking at the chat. And to be honest, I actually spent a lot of time doing this. One of my favorite activities is just getting to know and understand the community. I try to keep a mental record of people that spend a lot of time here and get to know and understand their personalities. Especially when something comes up and they start talking a lot, it usually means that there's something wrong, or if their behavior changes, it usually means that something's wrong. And what happens, this is pretty basic psychology, they won't say what it is that's bothering them. They'll talk around it, and it takes a lot of understanding the history of the person to just point out the elephant in the room and ask the question. And from there, that usually diffuses situations. And because of that, the moderators and a lot of the developers here at DevPro and the ones that have worked here have gotten this training from me, or they just know to do this naturally. And that's why this chat is much more healthy than the one on DN. They're talking about some really fucked up shit right now, but still, you can see that there's an actual conversation going on here. I really want to do something about the design of this launcher. It's atrocious. For example, just getting into a duel, you have to switch between tabs. That needs to be fixed. I'm really getting sick of Helmet. Y'all Zodiac people need to do something about him. I'm looking at you, Robbie. Alright, on the business. I really suck at C#, but I've made some changes. They're just log writing, really. Console messages. To implement an API. And what this API is going to do is these console messages are going to be written to the screen. And when the server picks them up, it's going to act accordingly. Now, this is a lot better than trying to process the individual message. I mean, seriously, that's a lot of fucking extra work. I don't know what that was all about, where it's like, oh, we've always done stuff this way, so we should always do stuff this way. Here. This is what's going to pick up the, let's see, on data. Socket.active on data. No, there's a stout in. Here. This function. I can put the whole entire API into this single function here. I don't need to do all of the extra getting the data, pulling the data apart, keeping the state of the data, finding what it's connected to because it's not giving state. That's just a whole other piece of bullshit taking that piece of state and putting it up into a higher level object and transmuting that data without fucking up the wrong game. I mean, I just really don't understand some of the engineering concepts in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. I'm not saying they're difficult. I'm saying they're non-existent. I don't understand why to cling to something that doesn't exist. My specialty in programming is with JavaScript. I'm not a C# developer, but everybody keeps trying to push me to be a C# developer when that's not what I want to do. That's not where I see my career going. I don't see the value in it per se. A lot of the stuff that I would do, well, a lot of stuff that most people do with C#, I can do in JavaScript. There are some very specific things that I can't do in JavaScript that you can do in C#, and those are things that, to be honest, I would rather do in something. I would rather learn C++ and do it in those specific things in C++. And those have to do with like hardcore data crunching, like stuff. They're realistic uses, but if I wanted to work on systems that required that, I would have went to college for this. There's a higher level ordinance that I'm trying to focus in on. There's a certain type of programming that I enjoy, and that's making useful things. I'm not saying that you can't make useful things out of C#. I'm saying that I'm full stack. Being a JavaScript developer, I am what you call full stack. I can work on database, I can work on server, I can work on network connection tools, I can work on interfaces. I can even write software that directly controls hardware if I really felt like it. And I can do that all from one language, and I would rather just, those languages, C, C#, C, C++, and JavaScript, maybe a little bit of Go later, those are languages that I prefer. They use concepts that I feel good with. I'm not saying I don't understand MVC and OOP. I understand those concepts. I just don't like them. I sat down, I read about them, I went over the pros and cons, and at a certain point, I realized there's not enough back data. There's no argument, and there's no such thing as a silver bullet in programming. Like I said before, there are just some things that JavaScript just cannot do. For example, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, the connection between the Lua scripting and the actual core controls and data processing, you need C++, you need something way fast for that. That's not something that should be done in JavaScript. If I ever see it, I'm just going to say that's not something you should do in JavaScript. You're going from one scripting language to another. If anything, you're kind of wasting processing power. So that's kind of why I want to implement an API. And the sad thing is, all that's going on, they're console messages. This output here is console. What's happening is this here comes out and I process that. That's all. Nothing more. Really simple. Really simple stuff. And that's all I'm working on with the API right now. I'm having a little bit of trouble finding where the ticker is. locking and leaving. Once those are done up, I should be going back to what else I was doing. So on to the next part I want to talk about is MackPro. There's a small function, give me a glimpse of it. Process incoming messages, pick configuration files. Now, Damien and LaFord, buddies, he allows his server to be able to pick specific configurations. This is a feature request when he was working on the core. I asked for it to be able to pick up different configurations. But what I can do based on him allowing that is send in a configuration file. So this function picks up some string information, OCG, TCG, blah blah blah. Basically the Dawn of a New Era string. If you play Dawn, you can usually see the string. Seto's not very good with his stuff, but or if you go poking around in DevPro's like lower level settings and stuff, you can maybe find it and create very interesting game mechanics. It allows the configuration to be changed. So that's server Yu-Gi-Oh core configuration.txt. So in Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, you only get one set of OCG or TCG or CCG scripting. So what I'm thinking is I can have multiple scripts here. And I create some way of maintenancing via FTP. And a user puts their stuff on the server, and they just put in their user number when they start a game, and they have access to CCG. So that's what we're going to do for MackPro, is just make that user control. This will take a lot of setup, and security settings have to be flipped around a lot, but basically I just set up an individual configuration file per user, and the core can handle it from there. The only problem is dealing with dead code, because people can't program Lua for shit for some reason. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I don't even know Lua. It's a lovely language. Looking at it, I have to say, it's something that I do want to pick up in the future. I just don't want to pick up Fluorohydrate's flavor of Lua. It looks rather dirty. His variable naming is shit. I'm just gonna put that out there. So I've done a lot of engineering here. That's what my function was when I was working at DevPro. It was to do the engineering, but as I suggested features, those features would be programmed, and then I would explain how they would integrate, and the programmers there would do that, and then eventually, I don't know if they stopped listening to me. They had control of everything, so, the way they felt was best, and they had the ability to change the code, and I didn't. So they just did what they felt like. That's what's going to happen anytime that you're managing a project. And I've actually seen this happen not only at DevPro, but where I work now. And the solution to fixing that is actually not something I want to talk about on camera. So what I'm going through now is rewriting the server basically from scratch, so that I have that control. So my engineering concepts are implemented. and I can keep things really clean. That also has a lot of social implications that I'll get into later. But that's all for now. Thank y'all for listening to me rant.